Mark, I don't know what your personal experience is on that, but we just clarified or we talked a little bit about what happens to the body and why there is a lot of benefits. I have two follow-up questions. The first one would be there is a couple of things that we know are good for our bodies: getting enough sleep, resting, having a healthy diet, and so forth. Would you say this cold water exposure is a nice to have, or is it rather a fundamental component of having a healthy lifestyle? I don't know if you want to give any comment there.
I think it can be a fundamental component. What what I like to do is put cold water swimming in the context of what's called lifestyle medicine. And there are six basic tenets of lifestyle medicine, which are things like healthy diet and as well as community and exercise and sleeping well, all these things you've mentioned. And I've always said that, in fact, so there's six components, and five of them are covered by cold water swimming. Even avoidance of harmful substances. I know people who are addicts or have been addicts, and they find cold water swimming just amazing at getting them past this. The sixth one, healthy diet, that isn't might not be an issue, but I was told recently by someone that actually this kind of stimulation stimulates butyrate or something in the gut, and actually it can have a positive effect on your gut and on your digestion and health. But it really is. To me, even if you don't take that part out of it, it's just such a good component. It's a whole package. That's what it is. And the body needs a package. We can just give it a bit of extra serotonin or a bit of and that's SSRIs, that's antidepressants. We give it a bit of noradrenaline, adrenaline, and things like that, and that's taking cocaine. But what you need is it coming from externally, your body being in control of it, and you're just that is so much better than taking anything from outside, and you can do that within this thing of lifestyle medicine, I think.
No, wonderful. Thank you very much for elaborating that. And that raises a question while you talk. Are there any side effects of cold water swims that you have encountered for yourself or with people, clients, friends that you work together?
I think the most important thing is probably the cold. Is not becoming hypothermic. That's kind of self-evident, and it's just getting used to what your body's like. I now know, I couldn't tell you how, but I know when I'm going to need to come in. And it might be that I know that after drop phenomenon, where you get cold 20, 30 minutes afterwards. I can avoid, I know when to come in to avoid after drop. So it's not I'm even at a dangerous level, but I don't particularly like that. But sometimes the waves are so much fun, I just keep going, oh, well, I'll just be a bit cold later. And so I think that's the most important thing. The other thing is kind of when you're starting, but it doesn't seem to be a problem afterwards, is that initial getting into the water. So, one of the first effects until you're adapted to cold water is you start hyperventilating. You cannot control your breathing to begin with. When you go into cold water, you take a big gasp and you start hyperventilating. The issue is, and that's why I think it's important when you start out, is just to put your body in the water. And this is why people die of drown, or the people unused to it end up in the cold water. It's not because their heart goes crazy or anything like that. It's because they get covered by a wave, and it and they have to take a big breath, and so it's worse than not being able to breathe. They have to take a big breath, and that water just goes into their lungs. Uh, so, so I think that's another issue. But as you get used to it, again, that short adaptation period, you're able to breathe again. You're able to control your breathing, so you can, that's okay. Then beyond that, oh, and then beyond that, there, it's sore. Your hands and feet get cold. they're relatively minor side effects, uncomfortable, but relatively minor.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing that, Mark. And I don't know if that is a dead end, but you talked about breathing and cold water. And I don't know if you are familiar with Wim Hof and the breathing and cold water exposure methods, I just want to call it. And if you have personally experienced such, if you do combine breathing and cold water exposure, if you think it's a good, not so good idea, any thoughts?
I'm very familiar with Wim Hof. My issue with him is that it's too. Where's the fun in it? It's just you don't see the joy in it. It's about cold. It's about how long you can last in the cold and things like this. I think breathing techniques are fantastic. We know again that's another thing we know is really good for you. What he uses a version of Tummo breathing, which is what meant to warm you up as you go into the water. He also does a lot of stuff where you just basically hyperventilate, in fact. And I'm not sure, I, I'm not sure how effective that is, whether that really makes a difference with cold water swimming or not. I think good, well-directed breathing techniques are definitely a good thing. I think the cold water is a good thing. So as to whether his particular ones bring both those benefits or whether it brings benefits from doing that before you get into the cold water, he's obviously remarkable. And what people seem to be able to do with him is remarkable. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether that particular combination is, massively effective or gets you any more benefit than just going into the water, having a laugh, and
And whether or
then
not
maybe
it's
doing
also
something
for
breathing
anyone, right?
separately.
So if you like that, make sure to check out the full-length episode here and leave a subscribe. Thank you.
Do more of what makes you happy.